Nathan! Stop it! This is why you keep getting molested!
I'm coming! Nobody can stop, ain't nobody can hold, ain't nobody control. I'm coming!
Nostalgia is a beautiful thing, isn't it? I've always loved the LEGO brand. I genuinely think it's one of the greatest things mankind has invented, not just as an art form, but as its own medium entirely. But what really made LEGOs mainstream were obviously the fact that they had access to some of the most popular franchises of all time: Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, Star Wars, and of course DC and Marvel heroes respectively. But when I was younger, there were only two LEGO properties that I would consistently purchase and collect: LEGO Batman and LEGO Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu. Now, LEGO hasn't always had a consistent track record when it came to their original IPs. Some were good, and then some were chima. But amongst the sea of original LEGO properties, LEGO had finally found their golden child that they could not only call their own, but milk until it was a dry pile of ash every day yearning to be put down for good. I absolutely adored Ninjago growing up. Not only were the sets amazing, for the most part, but it was one of the few shows I watched from the pilot up until I basically stopped watching after season 8. But hey, I mean, that's a long ass time, and the show was clearly very successful and is still going strong after 15 seasons? What the fuck? Wait a minute, does that mean I stopped watching after this movie came out? Well, that's a good start. Editing me here, just to let you guys know that while making this video, I've binged Ninjago again up until March of the Oni, and I have to say, somehow, someway, this shit still holds up. Especially in the case of Sons of Garmadon, which actually fucking slaps. I'll check out the rest when I can, but the later seasons still fail to answer one simple question. What the fuck happened to Air Jitsu? Bro! You can fly! And just to go off topic for a minute, I'm sorry these videos have been a lot slower recently, but because I'm pretty much an adult now, I have to deal with the abomination that is gas prices these days to get to where I want to be, which means I have to stack paper all the damn time, along with school, while somehow also finding the time to make these videos that get less views than an orphan's funeral service. This video is already a confusing clusterfuck and we haven't even started the damn movie yet. Getting back on topic, LEGO had been hitting it out of the park with their cinematic adaptations, and while to some people making a theatrical Ninjago movie sounds like it would have been the easiest thing for them to do, until you realize that they would never be able to convey even the story of the first season into a theatrical runtime. Let's not forget those who have tried. So that means things had to be cut. Having each ninja have their own journey and contribution? Gone. The Serpentine? Gone. Golden weapons? Gone. The Prophecy of the Green Ninja? Gone. Spinjitzu? Triple gone. You heard me right, there is exactly 0 Spinjitzu in this movie. For what reason, I couldn't possibly tell you.
Practice Spinjitzu.
That's easy, watch this.
Exertion.
They were just gonna have to make up their own story plot with elements from the show, which is fine, but that obviously comes with a fuck ton of downsides that feed into why I don't like this as an adaptation. But I do think it's always important to start off with the positive things, because I make YouTube reviews, so I'm obviously a very positive person. Number 1, the comedy. Likewise, for the other LEGO movies, they hit it out of the park when it comes to the humor. I was genuinely cackling at some of these moments.
Never taught them to anybody. And they'll probably die with me.
Really?
When I die. If I die.
Just
Which will never
leave!
I will not always be here to train you.
Why?
Because I'm super old.
I call it the cage monkey.
Oh, you have got to be kidding me.
Gasp.
Number 2, Garmadon. Garmadon is the best character in this movie. He steals every scene he's in. Garmadon was always a bit of a goofball masochist, so I'm completely fine with how he was handled here.
That wasn't even part of the vehicle in the first place. It's not even street legal. We work together until this is done, and then you go back to your jail cell. What?
What?
Why are you smiling like that?
Maybe I'm happy.
That's not a happy smile. That's an evil, I've got something up my sleeve smile.
Really? How's this?
That's exactly the same.
No, it isn't.
Number 3, the visuals. This movie, as a LEGO fan, is like sex for my eyes. The way everything looks and flows, the scope of the city and the landscapes, it's all absolutely phenomenal. Number 4, Jackie Chan. It's Jackie Chan. And finally, number 5, Adorable Kitty. Go. Fight. Good job. Alright, I'm done being nice. Let's get into the fun stuff. I want to first discuss characters, and since this is a big budget movie, that means the regular voice cast must be extracted from the picture and replaced with new celebrity voices. Obviously, it's fun to have Jackie Chan join the party as Master Wu, but unfortunately, no other ninja is given time to shine besides Lloyd. I will say I actually prefer his voice this time around. I think his voice actress in the show did a great job, but I prefer him actually sounding his age as opposed to him sounding like this movie's target demographic. And that really is my biggest problem with this interpretation. It's just that every other ninja is basically an afterthought. The main focus is on Lloyd and Garmadon, but that's literally it. Remember Kai, the one that literally started as the main character? My favorite ninja? I still ain't over what y'all did to him.
I don't fucking like it.
Oh,
I don't like it. What? You want me to dick ride it? I don't like it.
He barely has any lines here. You could take him out of the movie and it would change almost nothing. Or what about his sister Nia, a character that went through so much development in the show just to get to reduce to what she was aiming to destroy in the first place? Just being the female ninja. Jay is definitely a fan favorite, but one that I never really got the hype around. I mean, he's fine, I guess, and he has some good lines here, but Jesus, he's so fucking annoying.
Giant Snake has wee itty bitty weak spot that'll be totally impossible to get at because the thing is too ridiculously huge to do anything to stop it!
Are you done?
Yes.
And even with that said, somehow he's still by far the most based.
We're saving a girl? Is she hot? We were the only people that didn't hate you. And now we hate you!
Cole is easily the ninja with the least amount of time to breathe. He's also a DJ here for absolutely no reason and defeats enemies with his dope-ass beats. Zane is perfect though, I'll give them props for Zane.
You are the man!
Yes, I'm a normal human teenager.
Another thing I'd like to add is how they handle Lloyd's mother. Instead of her abandoning him, she does quite the opposite and actually cares for his well-being. Who would have thought? You're allowed to have different interpretations of characters as long as they work in the context of the story, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like they didn't try. I just think that there could have been a much better way to convey this story even with this shorter runtime, but I'm also not a writer and I'm not saying I would have made a better movie, but as a big fan of this series I just believe that this could have been far better than it currently is. Let's take a gander at the movie's description real quick. 6 young ninjas are tasked with defending their island home of Ninjago. By night they are gifted warriors using their skills and awesome fleet of vehicles to fight villains and monsters. By day they're ordinary teens struggling against their greatest enemy, high school. As a resident high schooler myself, I can confirm they would have an easier time convincing Ezra Miller to stop hitting women. But now I think it's time to discuss the main driving point of this movie, and that's the relationship between Lloyd the Green Ninja and his evil father, Lord Garmadon.
You ruined my life.
How could I ruin your life? I wasn't even there.
Garmadon in this movie is the literal personification of a dad that never found the milk, and is also a domestic terrorist, but that's irrelevant. This makes Lloyd an outcast for a large majority of the film and suffers from a common illness these days known as fatherless behavior.
I wish you weren't my father.
I understand the relationship progression is meant to be comedic for the most part, but I still don't think it has a lot of merit to it. They play this off using a bunch of cliche stuff like Lloyd not being able to throw and catch even though he's a fucking ninja, and I'm trying not to compare it to the show too much since it's clearly doing its own thing, but even if you've never seen the show, there's still a ton of questions left unanswered. They explained that the reason Garmadon has 4 arms was because he was bitten by a snake, which had been bitten by a spider. However, that still doesn't explain, how do I put this, his unorthodox complexion.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
You're black.
What? No!
It's not until towards the very end where we learn that Garmadon didn't actually leave him. It was his mother who left to raise him in Ninjago, because I guess at the last minute she realized a war zone laced with bloody weapons and flaming corpses probably wasn't a good place to raise your infant. Ninjago the series had surprisingly deep lore, and while the details of Garmadon's story are not always consistent, Garmadon as a child was bitten by the Great Devourer snake, which is what caused him to become evil over time and his skin turned black once we had banished him to the underworld. How he got the 4 arms was relatively unknown, but he still went through a lot of development in the show and is undoubtedly the best villain the series ever had. He was literally unable to do good until he was normal again, and then banished again, and then evil again, Jesus. In the movie, he reconciles with Lloyd from the inside of a pussy, and just like that, he's good, and somehow not in prison when he's probably wanted for literally everything. And that honestly goes for both the movie and show. This man has killed God knows how many people and has cost God knows how much of property damage, also pretty much falling under borderline child abuse and neglecting sympathy for their significant other. In what world does he walk away a free Right. I personally think the dumbest part of this movie is the way they handle the elemental powers. It barely gets mentioned until the plot demands it, and with the power of friendship and a near-death experience, everyone suddenly knows how to use their powers, which is fine, okay, awesome. But what is Leloid's power?
Yours is the most important element of all.
Okay, hit me with it.
Your elemental power is greed.
Connecting them all. The way I connect the ninjas.
I'm not saying that this is a bad thing.
That shit sucks!
Now, would I have liked to see Leloid blow up a cat with his energy powers? Of course not, but come on, imagine this with a movie budget.
I don't need a sword.
But even then, I don't think this works. They focus so much on the father-son dynamic and hardly any of the time between Leloid and the ninja that it feels, well, for lack of better words, premature. We don't know how these people met since this is clearly not canon, and we get exactly one flashback of them hanging out, and it just feels so tacked on. They literally spend a chunk of the movie disliking him, rightfully so, and I just think this would have been a better story if they focused on how these people met and became ninja. Change a bunch of stuff, make it engaging, make this movie have more going for it other than a comedy, which is great, but it makes me sad at the lost potential here. In fact, that's a perfect way to sum up this movie. Missed potential. The characterization and humor are the biggest things going for it, however my criticism is going to be a bit harsher due to me holding the series in such high regard, especially after finally seeing seasons 9 and 10, which proved to me that this franchise still has merit, but this film could never hold a candle to what it's adapting. There's 100% people that watch this movie without seeing the show, and that was their first impression. It's not a bad impression by any means, but I also can't imagine someone seeing this and wanting to go and binge all 100-something episodes. The Lego Movie made history for being a masterpiece in jokes and writing as something that could be enjoyed for all ages, and the Lego Batman movie was not only even funnier in my opinion, but also understood Batman better than any other film beforehand, and the Ninjago movie doesn't properly capture its source material and does not amount to anything super major, which is why I think it was pretty forgettable, and after seeing what happened with the Lego Movie sequel, I think it's safe to say it's not looking good for them. I don't think this movie is as bad as people say it is, but again, it just doesn't do the series justice, but at the end of the day, I can respect them for trying something new, and I did get some hearty laughs out of it. This whole topic was pretty much an excuse to talk about Ninjago because I've been such a big fan of the series for a long time, and I hope y'all have enjoyed. If you agree with the review or wish for my head to be mounted on a stake, feel free to let me know below. Hope y'all have a nice day, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye-bye.
At times I recline way back in both stacks with relations. To read my conversations about the devils we be lacing in the revolution. Be enormous how I'm trooping. My mind has been in battle since birth. That's why I'm puffing nails and juicing. Like a man in arms regrouping, planning my attack on